Hey guys, Darren here. Welcome to Me and Country Living. I had talked about doing a change to the channel just in addition to what we do, but call it like Monday morning musings, manly musings, something like that. We'll figure that out. But to do that, to tell you things, I have to tell you about me. And I'm going to tell you about one of the worst times in my life. As a man, as a father, as a provider. Wasn't the worst one. I'll save that for later, way later. My first wife and I, Stacy, high school sweethearts, we went to the prom together. We did all this stuff together for all these years. And, everybody said we would be happily ever after married and all that good stuff. And, you hope, you think, maybe, when you're that young and you're that stupid, She had, we'd had a son. His name's Darren. And things had progressed from that. She appeared to be unhappy, and so from that, she was unfaithful. And that was a hard pill to swallow, but that's okay because you're a father and you're married and you're willing to forgive and do certain things. And so we did. We reconciled, and everything was going okay. And we always entertained. People would come from all over the place to hang out and visit, and we would have dinners and have people over, and it was not unusual for us to have 100 people over for parties, and people would hang out. And I was always blessed with the ability to own a little bit of land, so we would have people who would camp out all night and visit and fellowship, and we were, we did good. And it was one of those evenings, it was cooler weather, so fall was setting in, and we'd had a lot of friends over, and everybody was just hanging out watching football games or something like that. And there was a knock at the door, and one of my good friends, Mike Gearhart, he got up and answered the door because I think we were in another room watching television. And guy came to the door and told him that he was here to pick up Stacy, my wife at the time. And piqued my interest. And so I got up, and we were all, my wife and I, we were, sitting on the sofa watching television. And this was back when, like, The Simpsons, the first season of The Simpsons. This was a long time back, no cell phones. And I went to the door and I said, hey, and I knew the guy. And he said, I'm here to get Stacy. I said, really? I said, what's this about? And he said, well, she's pregnant with my baby. And I said, really? I said, that's profound. And he said, yeah, want to cause any problems. I said, well, I think it's too late for that, but we'll see. And so I went and got her, and I said, there's a gentleman here that says you're pregnant with his baby. And she looked at me and she said, I am. I said, all right. I said, well, what do you want to do? And she said, I want to go with him. I said, that's fine. I said, I wish you all the best. I said, you're not going to take my son. And she said, I wasn't going to. I said, okay. Good. I said, well, I wish you guys all the best. And so I walked her to the door, and she said, well, what about all of my clothes and all of my stuff? I said, no one's going to mess with any of it. I'll make sure it gets to you. And I told that in front of her and him and everyone else in the room. This was quite an embarrassing thing for me. It's even more embarrassing to tell you guys about it. And I said, but nothing of yours will come missing. You don't have to worry about that. And so they left. And, I sat there and tried to make some sense of it. And I think that Monday, I was going to carry that stuff, her stuff and makeup and all that stuff over there. And as luck would have it, my car would not, something had happened to my car. And it would not crank. And so I called my dad. And he said, no problem, boy. I'll be over there, when I get off work. And we'll go run and do it. No problem at all. I said, okay, thank you. So he comes and I put some boxes of clothing and t-shirts, underwear, and makeup and all her stuff in the car. And Dad says, is that everything? And I said, yes, sir, I think it is. And he says, all right, well, let's go. And I said, okay. And so unbeknownst to him, I had a revolver in my pocket, 38. And what I was going to do when I got there, I was going to shoot them. Why not? They ruined my life, I'll ruin theirs. It was a good plan. And so we pull up and we get there. And it's cool weather. It's autumn. And it's end of autumn. So, I mean, the cold air is coming in, and we got the window cracked about this much on each side of the windows. And we pull up, and they live on the corner. And so the corner, the house is up higher than the street level. And so the shrubs and everything, you can kind of see inside a couple of the windows. And you look inside and you can see them laughing. I could. Laughing and talking. And having a good time. And then out back on the grill, they had steaks grilling. And you could smell the steaks. I could smell the steaks. And they smelled good. They smelled really good. And so I'd sit there in that cool air. And the car, Dad just turned the car off. And the car just sitting there going tick, tick, tick. You guys know what I mean. And I heard them laughing, drinking wine or something. And then I smelled those steaks. And I felt the butt of that revolver in my pocket. And Dad looked over at me and he says, you ready, boy? And it kind of like brought me out of my funk. He says, you ready? I said, yes, sir. He said, what are you going to do? like he knew what I was planning. I think he did. I think the old man knew, because he just knew stuff. He says, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "What would you do?" And he looked at me and he says, "Well," he says, "when you don't know what to do, the best thing you can do is nothing, because that way you didn't make it any worse." He said, "Sometimes. Sometimes." I said, "Well, how do you know when it's the right time not to do anything as opposed to doing something?" He said, "It's what it takes to be a man." So sometimes when you don't know what to do, the best thing you can do is nothing. And the only way to know that is if you're a man and you have experience. And I was like, gosh, damn it, this is some bullshit. And I got thinking about it in my head, cycling it, processing it. And I thought, he's never steered me wrong before. I said, okay. He said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm not going to do nothing. He said, what about these boxes? I said, I'll carry them up the steps. He says, you're not going to do anything else? I said, no, sir. He said, all right. He said, go leave them boxes up there. So I walked up there and I left those boxes up there, and the whole time that pistol was knocking my knees while I was carrying those boxes. We got back in the car, cranked it up, he drove it off. And again, I smelled the steaks that they were grilling. I heard them laughing. That was hard. It was real hard. I cried to myself. And then we drove home. And that cold autumn air, you could feel it cycling through inside. Take care of you people.